So I, like a lot of people, watched Exandria Unlimited that Aabria DM'd, and I was not a fan of that show. Next up, we got a big one. Last but not least, Matt Mercer. And yeah, that seems to be our tier list. Wait, hold up. YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. Today, we got another tier list video for you. That's right, in today's video, I'm gonna be ranking your favorite dungeon masters just to see who really is the best. As always, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out our other Critical Role content, and let's just get right into it, shall we? So just a note, this video, like many of our videos, is just my opinion. So before you get all angry because I ranked your favorite DM in trash tier, just take a second, breathe, and know that it's gonna be okay. Everyone plays D&D differently, everyone enjoys D&D differently, so my list is going to be different than yours, and if I left off your favorite dungeon master from the list, I'm sorry, it is what it is. So as you can see, we got our tier list here. God DM, Dungeon Daddy, Master Storyteller, haven't watched and not a fan. Pretty self-explanatory. We got a decent little list of DMs here. Like I said before, if I left out your favorite DM, I'm sorry. I listed some of the most famous DMs and ones that I'm familiar with. So once again, if I leave your favorite DM out, I'm sorry. So let's begin, shall we? Aabria Iyengar. To our Critical Role fans out there, maybe a bit of a controversial start. Brennan Iyengar, very accomplished DM, probably most known for her time in Dimension 20 as a DM and as a player, and also for her stint in Critical Role DMing Exandria Unlimited, as well as her player status in Exandria Unlimited Calamity. So I, like a lot of people, watched Exandria Unlimited that Aabria DM'd, and I was not a fan of that show. Now, before we make any hasty decisions, let me clarify here. A lot of the reasons why I didn't enjoy Exandria Unlimited have been literally nothing to do with Aabria in the way that she DMs. Personally, I think Aabria is a very good DM, but I will say this. I think that she is best functions in a sci-fi-esque environment. While she DM'd fantasy before D&D-esque fantasy settings, for me personally, she seems to thrive the most in kind of a sci-fi-esque tabletop world. As well, Aabria's style of DMing is one that's very cinematic. It's almost like movie-like in a lot of the approaches and what she lets her players get away with and how she narrates. All of it. Aabria's style can be very jarring if you're someone who's basically only ever watched Matt Mercer, so I get why a lot of people may not have been a fan right away, but Aabria is an amazing DM. I really hope they bring her back on Critical Role in some capacity. I'd love to see her DM again, maybe in an environment of players that are much more experienced personally. But now it's time to rank her. Where do we put her? I think Aabria is very, very good. But as a DM, ooh, it's tough. I think Aabria goes in Master Storyteller for me. Our stuff with Fantasy High and Brennan Mulligan and College Humor and all that stuff is super, super good. I highly recommend going and checking it out if your only exposure to her has been through Exandria Unlimited or as a player in Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Aabria is great. It's just unfortunate that her stint as a Critical Role GM, maybe wasn't the best in my opinion. Next up, we have Anthony Burch. Now, a lot of you may not know who Anthony Burch is, but you probably recognize Anthony's sister, Ashley Burch, aka the most infamous guest character in all of Critical Role. Yeah, this is her brother, and she's also a big D&D fan. He runs a podcast, a Dungeons & Dragons game podcast called Dungeons & Daddies. I'm not super familiar with this show or with this podcast. I've only listened to a very little bit, but from my experience so far, it seems like a very whimsical, funny, kind of like laid back take on Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of your classic, not too serious, slap hardy, just a bunch of friends being goofy with one another. If that's your thing, and if you also like D&D and more of a podcast experience, go check out Dungeons & Daddies, man, because it could be up your alley. I have not watched enough or listened to enough to really make a definitive statement on where I would rank them as a DM. And so to be fair, we're going to put them in the haven't watched category. Next up, we got a big one. Maybe the big one. If you've watched any of our Exandria Unlimited Calamity content from a few months back, you will know that I absolutely love Brennan Lee Mulligan. We're just gonna get this over with real quick. Brennan goes in God DM status. In my opinion, he might be the best, definitely top 3 of the best dungeon masters doing it around right now, and doing it on the level of scale and audience that these guys do it. Brennan is obviously of College Humor fame, Fantasy High School, Dungeons and Dragons, as well as his stints on Critical Role and many other D&D tabletop programming. The guy is amazing. He is hilarious. His voice acting is very solid. I love his different character voices. It's not like Matt Mercer levels of like voice acting quality, but it's very good, and he commits, and he's freaking hilarious. He's also intense as Brennan is one of those DMs that I feel like is either in one or two modes. He's either the kind, merciful, blessed DM Brennan, or he is the cold, hateful, punishing, evil Brennan. There's not really much more to say. This guy is amazing in everything. He's one of the best improv DMs I have ever seen. His ability to tell a cohesive narrative in a long-term storytelling format, and to be able to do things on the fly to push a story where he wants it to go is absolutely amazing. EX2 Calamity is amazing. Everything this guy does is great. Go watch Brennan Lee Mulligan, guys. How's it going, guys? We interrupt this video for just a brief moment, just because I want to let you all know that these videos are made possible by you all. Yes, you. By liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing the video, or going on my Patreon as well. If you want to help support me, why don't you go check out our second project channel, Dr. Novus. If you enjoyed the strange, spooky, and the unexplained and storytelling format, then Dr. Novus is the channel for you. New videos every Friday, so why don't you go check it out. Let's get back to the video, shall we? Next, we have another DM who I am not completely familiar with. B. Dave Walters of Black Dice Society, a Ravenloft game, one that I believe is an official Dungeons and Dragons game. I believe Dave is also a writer and an author for Dungeons and Dragons, and has made some Dungeons and Dragons books. I cannot say that I am intimately familiar with this game, Black Dice Society. I do love Ravenloft, though, and I've heard very good things about B. Dave Walters. I've seen some clips and stuff. The guy seems like a good DM. He seems kind of intense. I like his voice a lot. And I like that the cast is super diverse as well. I think that adds a lot to potential storytelling. D&D is a game for everyone, so I love seeing awesome equal representation. Like in a game like this. We're definitely gonna have to go check out Black Dice Society. Next, we have a bit of an odd choice on our list, Talesin Jaffe. Now, some of you may be wondering, Fraud, why did you put Talesin on a Dungeon Master list? Well, Talesin is no stranger to running games either. Obviously not as proficiently as maybe some of the other people on this list. Probably everyone else on this list, if we're being honest. But I put Talesin on here for one specific reason. His Call of Cthulhu one-shot. This is one of my absolutely favorite one-shots of all of the one-shots that Critical Role has done in their little mini-series and stuff. Huge Call of Cthulhu fan. Call of Cthulhu does not get as much love as it should as a tabletop game, and I love that Talesin put a spotlight on it. Please, Critical Role, let Talesin Jaffe run more Call of Cthulhu. I'm begging you. Next, we have Koibu. Maybe not as big as some of the others on this list as far as size of impact and channel, but Koibu has been a mainstay in kind of the online D&D community since, like, I don't know. It's been a long time now. This guy runs tons of games. He's like, by every definition, a pro DM, a DM that will run games for money. Even I could right now hit him up and pay him probably a large amount of money to run a game for me and my friends. And I think that's really cool. The guy's basically living his dream, being a dungeon master for a living as well. He DMs for a lot of really big, well-sized YouTubers, streamers, and content creators. So why don't you go check him out, because maybe one of your favorite content creators might just be in one of his games. Koibu, in my opinion, has a very methodical style in his approach for D&D. He plans super hard so that it seems like he's always ready for things that are thrown his way, at least from my experience watching him. I would say this preparation and this ability to kind of look back at the story from like a real macro perspective is what makes this guy such a good DM, in my opinion. And for all those reasons, he's gonna go in Master Storyteller. I have to rank him above Talesin because, I mean, Talesin is probably a player first more than an actual DM. So we'll put Koibu right here. Next, we have the man himself, Chris Perkins, Papa Dungeons and Dragons, head guy at Wizards for the D&D creation team. This guy does it all. Works on books, works on mechanics for official D&D stuff. As well, he constantly runs D&D games online for the public, for stream games. He's ran so many popular games. Actually, one of my first exposures to D&D all the way back in like 2011-12, D&D specifically like online games, was Chris Perkins in Old School Acquisitions Incorporated. Chris and Inc. and a lot of other games that he ended up DMing over the years is really what kind of pushed me to find my love for D&D again after high school. Because of that, I'm eternally grateful. This dude is also an amazing DM. I would put him in the God DM status. I would describe Chris as a much more whimsical, classic DM. The guy really loves sowing chaos in his party, but
don't get it twisted.
He can be brutal and tell hard-hitting, dark narratives, real story elements if he needs to. He seems to really tailor his DMing style to the cast that he has and what kind of story that they want to play. Like, for example, if you go watch Inc. Acquisitions Incorporated with Patrick Rothfuss and the boys, those campaigns are absolute cluster. But that's the whole point. They're supposed to be kind of these fun, jovial things, and it's all about being goofy with your friends. Chris Perkins is amazing. If you haven't seen Chris Perkins DM, I highly recommend going out and finding one of his many games that he's DM'd. You will not be disappointed, in my opinion. Next, we have Ster. Ster is a Twitch streamer, content creator. I believe he originally started in Path of Exile or something, but lately, over the last few years, Ster has really done a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop roleplay, DMing, within the streaming community with a lot of bigger streamers. Right now, actually just last week, he started a game called Myriad that runs on Thursdays in the afternoon with big streamers like Moon, Shorefor, Octopimp, guys like that. I highly recommend going and checking this campaign out, Myriad, or going and checking out some of other Ster's campaign. The guy likes to make his own unique worlds with his own unique rules. It's a very fun, refreshing take on tabletop roleplay. A very kind of like we said, classic, happy-go-lucky. It's kind of like a dark setting, but has this like overtone of like silliness that goes on. But I think a lot of that might have to do with the party. I highly recommend going and checking Ster out. He may be one of the most less known of DMs from this list, but he is very good. I would put him in Master Storyteller as well. Last but not least, Matt Mercer. You won't be hearing a lot of Matt Mercer hate from me. I mean, the guy is absolutely amazing. Yes, maybe he created a bit of an unreasonable standard for us normal mortal DMs to keep up with when you have all of these people who only watch Critical Role and never played a D&D game in their life, and they think that all D&D has to be like Critical Role, but you know, that's not his fault. It is not Matt Mercer and Co.'s fault for creating a super successful campaign. The guy is one of the best character actors I've seen in an improv setting like D&D ever. His level of voice acting talent and his range is absolutely nuts. His long-term story building and his world building are absolutely nuts, almost second to none, specifically in the world building sense. I feel like if you don't genuinely like Matt Mercer's DMing style, then like I don't even know what to tell you. The guy is amazing. He's one of the best to do it ever, one of the best to do it right now. And for that reason, we have to stick him in God tier. The question is, where in God tier? Personally, I think I'm going to put him second here next to Brennan, but they could easily flip-flop. Ultimately, it's preference. I absolutely adore all three of these DMs up in God status. I think they are the best, in my opinion, to do it right now. Obviously, it's just my opinion and what I enjoy in D&D, and all three of them give me the things that I enjoy in D&D in different ways. They're all three very similar in some retrospects and also vastly different in others. And yeah, that seems to be our tier list. Wait, hold up. Arcadum, who put you there? Well, I guess someone's got to go in Not a Fan, and what better person to put in Not a Fan than one of the many disgraced DMs that are out on the internet. In you go, Arcadum. Okay, so here is where our final tier list lies. I decided to switch things up a little bit because what's the use of having a category like Dungeon Daddy if I'm not going to stick some daddies in there? Yes, Aabria Iyengar, you are my dungeons. This was my tier list. Let me know in the comments down below. I feel like it's no surprise the top three are who they are if you know anything about me, or just the kind of consensus in the D&D community. These three are probably the most famous of the dungeon masters in the streaming YouTube world. So of course they're gonna be in the top 3. Maybe a bit of surprise I put Brennan as number 1, but like I said, guys, it's just my opinion. Please let me know in the comments down below, what is your tier list of DMs as well. Let me know other dungeon masters that I could have put on the list. Ultimately, there's just so many Dungeons and Dragons games that are being streamed or put on YouTube or podcasts out there that I was bound to forget some, or I just haven't heard or seen a lot of them. So I'm always down to check out more. But hey, what the heck? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to give them a peep, and maybe we'll find a new Dungeons and Dragons game to go check out. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out some of our other tier list content, as well as other Critical Role and D&D content. As always, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love, adu.